Welcome, and we are still on Unit 2, talking about shape. Last week we did geometric shapes, and today is freeform shapes. Okay? Freeform shapes, Lesson 3. Lesson 3 introduces freeform shapes. Freeform shapes are all shapes that are not geometric. People, animals, plants, and objects are examples of freeform shapes.
What are some shapes and colors of leaves you have seen?
What are some shapes and colors? You see big leaves, small leaves, and especially now in the fall, you see orange leaves, yellow leaves, brown leaves. You still see some green leaves too. Okay? So what is our objective today? You're going to be able to find freeform shapes around you and in some artwork. And if you want to, you can try to create a leaf print with freeform shapes. And then you're going to learn about some artists too, okay? So, look at the different shapes in these works of art. Shapes that are not geometric are called freeforms. In our last lesson, we talked about what geometric shapes are. And geometric shapes are shapes like squares, rectangles, triangles, circles, ovals, okay? And so freeform shapes, let me click on this, are
an irregular and uneven shape whose outline is curved, angular, or both.
Okay, so a freeform shape is a shape that's not a square, rectangle, triangle. It could be a person. It could be something in nature, like a plant or a tree or a person or an animal. Those are called freeform shapes. People who draw or paint pictures for books, by the way, are called illustrators. And illustrators draw all kinds of pictures in books. And looking at pictures helps to tell a story, especially if you can't read very well, okay? Name a freeform shape that you see. Trace that shape with your, oh, I see a freeform shape in my hand. I can trace it with my other finger. And that is a freeform shape. Okay? This is a freeform shape. It's not a square, rectangle, or triangle. It's a shape of a glue bottle. This is a freeform shape. It's a marker. This is a freeform shape? Well, no, this is not a freeform shape. This is a geometric shape. What geometric shape is this? It looks like a rectangle, but it's round. This is called a cylinder. That is a geometric shape. Okay? So remember, things in nature or people are freeform shapes. Let's look at these pictures. So we're going to look at some of the pictures, and you can point to some of the pictures and some of the things that are not geometric shape. Let's look at this one. This one's called Free Fall. And it looks like there is a boy. He's a freeform shape. And there is a swan. It looks like a leaf that looks like a swan. That's a freeform shape. How about these things? What are those? Fish, that's right. Those are freeform shapes. And these are leaves. Those are freeform shapes. And you start by looking at these shapes right here, and these are geometric shapes. They're squares. But if you look and it gets further away, they're not, the squares are kind of breaking up, aren't they? And they're becoming freeform shapes in the background. Okay. Let's look at this one. The autumn leaves, Lake George. All of these are freeform shapes because nothing is a rectangle, triangle, or square. They all have different shapes and different colors. And that's what it looks like right now if you go outside. When the seasons start to change from the spring to the fall and then fall to winter, this is when you see the leaves are changing. Using freeform shapes. Now, artists use freeform shapes to show people, animals, and other things. This is what, boys and girls? EGG. You eat this for breakfast. It is an egg. Not a rectangle, square, triangle. This is a freeform shape. If it didn't have the white part and if it was just a yolk, but then if it was a yolk, we could say it was a a geometric shape because it's a circle. But because it has the white part and it's not a geometric shape, we call it a freeform. This is our dog. Our dog is a freeform shape. And this is a girl. She is not a rectangle or a block. She is a freeform shape.
Let's look at some freeform shapes in nature.
Vamos a observar algunas figuras abstractas en la naturaleza.
So let's look at the objects in your house right now, or in your living room, or wherever it is that you are. If you find something that's a freeform shape, what can you trace it with your finger? I'm looking at my light, and I'm looking at the light hanging from the ceiling, and that's like a freeform shape. And I have a plant over there, and I'm tracing it with my eyes and my fingers. Trace some of the things in the air so you know what a freeform shape is, okay? Think about how this student used a freeform shape in his artwork. He took a bunch of leaves and put some paint on it and then stamped it onto a piece of paper to create some artwork. And these are all freeform shapes. And now, especially with the leaves that are falling, they are so pretty. You could go and get some different leaves and you could just take all the different colors and you could glue them onto a piece of paper. And to make a collage, glue some pretty things on the piece of paper and glue them. And you take it and you put it in the middle, underneath a book, and it weighs it down. And then you can take it out in a couple of days. It'd be nice and flat. That can be artwork. Or if you have some paint, boys and girls, you could take the leaf and you could take the leaf off, and then you could paint one side of the leaf, and then you could take it and stamp it onto your paper, press it down real hard, roll it and like move it around, and then you lift it up and it makes a print on your paper, just like this. So, and then you could see what they're doing. They took a leaf and they put some paint on it, and then they flipped it over onto the piece of paper and rubbed it, and then it makes a print. A print is also like your shoe. Like when you take your foot and you step in a wet puddle and then you step onto the concrete, and it makes a print of your foot. The only difference is that the artist uses paint. You don't want to put paint on your shoes, but if you want to do this with some freeform shapes in your house, you can do that too. Okay. So for lesson 3, you are done. Hopefully you are finished and you know what a freeform shape is. Okay. What are the shapes? What shapes are your leaves? We said the leaves are freeform shapes. Are they different shapes? Yes, different leaves have different shapes, just like they're different types of trees. You have pine trees. Do pine trees have leaves? No. What do they have? Pine needles and pine cones. And some trees have leaves, and they have different shaped leaves. Some of them just have one leaf. Some of them have little pokey things on the side. Next time you go out and look at the trees, pay attention, maybe collect a few, and then you can see all the different types of freeform shapes you can find in your leaves. Even if your mom has an artificial plant in the house, they have different types of leaves too. So you can look at those. Don't take them off your mama's plant. You may only go outside with your mother's permission to collect some leaves whenever it is that you go outside, if you'd like to, okay? So you're done with lesson 3, and we will see you next week.